Pakistan is once again standing in line, begging for money. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has approved another bailout for Pakistan, this time worth $2.4 billion. That includes $1 billion under a long-term loan and another $1.4 billion under a special fund for climate adaptation and energy reforms. The fund is aimed at helping Pakistan avoid an economic collapse and prevent sovereign default. A sovereign default occurs when a country fails to repay its debts. But the question is, if Pakistan is so broke, why is its military growing every year? How is a country that cannot afford basic food and fuel still buying fighter jets, submarines, drones and missiles? Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Today we expose how Pakistan begs the world for money while using those funds to feed its military machine instead of improving the lives of its people. Let's start with the basics. According to the World Bank, Pakistan's total economy, or GDP, is just around $236 billion. It has almost no foreign exchange reserves. Its currency is collapsing. Pakistan's inflation is among the highest in the world. It was almost 30% in 2023, and yet its military continues to shop for weapons as if there is no crisis. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, over 80% of Pakistan's weapons now come from China. This amounted to over $9 billion. But Islamabad is not paying cash. Instead, it's using easy credit. China offers low-interest loans, long grace periods and flexible repayment terms. This way, Pakistan buys advanced weapons without paying upfront. That is probably part of what experts call China's debt trap diplomacy. Beijing gives loans to weaker countries, and when they can't pay back, China gains influence and assets in return. It's not just China from where Pakistan imports arms. According to the United Nations Comtrade database, Pakistan also bought over $5 million worth of arms and ammunition from Turkiye in 2024. Pakistan's military is not just an army. It is a business empire. It runs cement factories, real estate, farmland, banks, insurance companies and more. This powerful institution generates billions in revenue every year, but most of it is hidden from civilian control or public audits. It's like a state within a state, operating independently while the rest of the country survives on loans and handouts. So when Pakistan comes to the IMF asking for money, its generals live in luxury and the army buys weapons on credit. That is why experts argue that IMF loans meant for economic recovery might end up supporting the military indirectly. Because in Pakistan's opaque system, once money enters the budget, nobody knows exactly where it ends up. Even India raised serious concerns. India, a member of the IMF, abstained from voting for Pakistan's bailout. Indian officials say Pakistan is a long-term borrower but with poor compliance. They also warn that in the absence of proper financial oversight, IMF money could fund terrorism or other destabilizing activities in the region. And this fear is not new. Since 1948, the United States alone has sent over $40 billion in aid to Pakistan. Add Europe, the United Kingdom and Canada, and the total is over $55 billion. Yet, the returns have been disappointing. That money did not bring reforms. It spent money on the military in the obsession of confronting India. since Pakistan knows that it cannot fight India militarily, it resorted to other means, and that is terrorism. Terrorist groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, both designated terrorist organizations, continue to operate from Pakistani soil. These groups have carried out deadly attacks in India, including the 2008 Mumbai attacks and the 2019 Pulwama bombing. Despite global pressure, Pakistan continues to provide them safe haven, funding and logistical support through its military and intelligence service, ISI. So while the world gives Pakistan money for economic relief, some of that money ends up bankrolling violence across the border, and the cycle continues. Even today, the IMF keeps demanding the same things: cut military spending, increase tax revenue, strengthen civilian control, reform public finances. But little has changed, because the real power in Pakistan does not lie with elected leaders. It lies with the generals. Meanwhile, ordinary Pakistanis continue to suffer. Prices of basic goods are rising every month. Today, a roti or a single piece of bread costs 25 Pakistani rupees. Eggs are sold at 400 Pakistani rupees per dozen. Fuel is unaffordable. Petrol is sold at over 250 Pakistani rupees. Businesses are shutting down. Foreign investors are leaving. The textile industry, a major contributor to Pakistan's exports, has been severely affected. Reports say that over 1,600 textile factories had closed down in Pakistan in recent months. Several prominent Pakistani startups have closed operations or significantly scaled back their operations in recent years. Some notable examples include Airlift, which shut down completely due to a funding crunch. Savior, a cashback fintech startup, also closed its operations. Other startups like Wawa Cars, Car First and Trella have also ceased operations. Additionally, some startups like Bazaar have experienced layoffs and scaled down certain verticals. The IMF estimates Pakistan's unemployment rate to be 8% for the current fiscal year. Even with multiple bailouts, the country has failed to introduce deep structural reforms. It survives barely on life support from the IMF, China, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. To make matters worse, Pakistan has placed its military officers in key positions inside economic policy bodies, including the powerful Special Investment Facilitation Council. So the same institution that benefits most from loans and weapons is also in charge of managing the crisis. While Pakistan has received a second tranche of $1 billion from the IMF on Wednesday, reports suggest Washington leveraged the billion-dollar tranche of IMF assistance to Pakistan, conditioning its release on an immediate de-escalation with the latest confrontation with India. This came after India launched Operation Sindoor in response to the April 22 Pahalgam terror attack. If true, then the message to Pakistan was blunt. Your economic lifelines now depend on your military behavior. So Pakistan is buying jets on credit while asking the world to pay for its bread. It refuses to cut military spending. It refuses to fix its finances, and it refuses to give up control. It's begging for money and using the fund to orchestrate terrorist activities against India. So how long will the world keep bailing out a country that is not willing to change? And how many more billions will disappear into the same black hole? The flag that you see being waved here is of the Democratic Republic of Balojasthan. Balojasthan has declared independence from Pakistan. The bold declaration was made by Baloch nationalist leaders. It's a symbolic but significant move. It comes on the back of a string of armed attacks across Balochistan province. Recently, the Balochistan Liberation Army or BLA claimed responsibility for more than 70 coordinated attacks against the Pakistani regime at over 50 locations. It targeted Pakistani military and intelligence sites, local police stations, mineral transport vehicles and infrastructure along major highways. This was part of its Operation Herof. The BLA is an armed separatist group based in Balochistan. It emerged in the early 2000s and has been fighting for independence for the Baloch people ever since. In March, in one of its most daring attacks, the BLA hijacked the Jafar Express, holding over 450 passengers hostage. It demanded the release of some Baloch political prisoners from the Pakistani state. This was a watershed in Baloch insurgency as it succeeded in drawing international attention towards the Balochistan issue. But calls for independence are not confined to separatist groups. There is a coordinated, vocal and increasingly public push for sovereignty. Voices demanding autonomy and secession are only growing louder. Keywords like Baloch Liberation Army, Republic of Balochistan and Balojasthan Independence are trending across digital platforms. This is no longer a low-intensity conflict. It is a full-blown rebellion. See this post by Baloch leader Mir Yar Baloch. He cites decades of air bombings, enforced disappearances and genocide. He writes, Baloch people across Pakistan-occupied Balochistan are up on streets. And this is the national verdict that Balochistan is not Pakistan and the world can't be a silent spectator anymore. He says Balochistan was never a part of Pakistan as it had declared independence on 11th August 1947 when Britishers were leaving Balochistan and the subcontinent. Mir Yar Baloch makes an appeal to the Indian media and citizens. He says, don't refer to Baloch people as Pakistan's own people. As Pakistan's own people are the Punjabis who never faced atrocities like they do. The declaration of independence by Baloch leaders and activists needs to be seen through the lens of Balochistan's long-standing grievances over political marginalization, economic exploitation and military repression by the Pakistani state. Balochistan has a tumultuous history of resistance that spans from accession to insurgency. Originally, it was part of the princely state of Kalat. In 1948, Balochistan was annexed by Pakistan under contentious circumstances. This led to the first of many insurgencies. Baloch nationalists protested their forced integration and erosion of their autonomy. In the many decades that followed, there were multiple uprisings, but Pakistan used military crackdowns to crush each uprising. That fueled a cycle of dissent and suppression. So the Baloch people have a long list of grievances against Islamabad. Enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings and military operations, all of these put together have further alienated the local population. One horrifying example is that of the recent killing of renowned Baloch car racer Tariq Baloch, son of well-known racer Ibrahim Kalamati from Jiwani in Gwadar district. He was reportedly abducted by Pakistan's law enforcement agencies and his body was found dumped the next morning. He was allegedly killed under Pakistan's kill and dump policy. Such human rights abuses are rampant in Balochistan. Mass graves discovered in several districts have only deepened public anger and suspicion of state-led violence. Balochistan is Pakistan's largest province. But here's the irony. While Balochistan is the richest Pakistani province in terms of resources like gas, minerals and a coastline, it is also Pakistan's most underdeveloped and poorest province. There is a deep-seated resentment among the Baloch people against Islamabad for exploiting their land without returning any benefits. CPEC, or China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is the most high-profile target of their resentment. Remember, Gwadar port in Balochistan is the biggest highlight of CPEC. China and Pakistan had pitched CPEC as a gateway for trade between China and West Asia. But locals say benefits of CPEC projects don't come to them. Instead, these projects have only worsened their lot by leading to displacement and environmental degradation. So the Gwadar port has become a flashpoint for attacks by Baloch insurgents on Chinese nationals working on CPEC projects. Coming back to the declaration of independence by Baloch leaders. These leaders want India and the United Nations to recognize a free and independent Balochistan. They pledge the support of 60 million Baloch patriots for India. Now meet Kashish Chaudhary from the remote town of Noshki in Chagai district of Balochistan. She belongs to the Hindu minority community. At the age of just 25 years, she has made history. After clearing the Balochistan Public Service Commission or BPSC examination, she has achieved the feat of becoming the first Hindu to rise to the rank of Assistant Commissioner in Balochistan. She is the latest from the Hindu community to have achieved notable success in male-dominated fields in Pakistan. On social media, users are celebrating her success as she is widely seen as an inspiration for many young women and the minority communities. To sum it up, the Declaration of Independence by Baloch leaders, while largely symbolic, has significant implications. It challenges Pakistan's territorial integrity and can embolden other separatist movements within Pakistan. The surest way for Pakistan to avoid inflaming an already volatile crisis is to accept that its Baloch problem is fundamentally a political issue that demands a political solution. But there is little sign of that. Baloch leaders now want the international community to come to the rescue of the Baloch people before the region sees more bloodshed and instability. Balochistan has openly revolted against Pakistan. The insurgency is armed, public and ideological. For the people on the ground, though, this is more than politics. It is survival. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.